Sonoma, California, home of Infineon Raceway. And today's running of the Toyota Mart 350. And you can see this course, and there are cars spread out pretty much all over it. Everyone chasing that one. Brian Vickers. Here is our Toyota driver update. By the way, this is the first time Vickers has ever led on a road course. This is his 10th road course race.
Yeah, he looks like the 77.
Yeah. He's leaving pit road. Report of a vibration on that car. That was after we saw him smoke the tires.
Yeah, he got down in there at 10. He jumped on those brakes really hard to avoid hitting whoever was in front of him, and he peeled out to the right, but I'm sure he flat spotted him pretty hard.
The 04 of P.J. Jones and the 66 of Dave Blaney have gone to the garage early in this race.
There's Marcus Ambrose. Where's he running now? He is in the 26th spot.
That's right.
So he is making his way up very carefully.
It's a gain of 11 positions. How about it, Ralph?
Right now, that car, he says, a little stiff in the front, a little too soft in the rear, but the crew told him you're not losing any ground. And one thing they have talked about is trying to get maybe a little off sequence in their pit stops early in the race to try to gain some track position if there's cautions. But the one thing Marco said is it's extremely important that we're back on sync with the very last pit stop of the day. That we can afford not to do.
An update, Marcos. He's picked up 15 positions since the start of the race.
And that's pretty impressive because he's not losing ground to the leader. He's running the same lap times as the leader. So they're moving at the same pace forward. He's still got that gap from where he started, but at least he's running the lap times.
Boris said in that 08 car.
We've talked about Boris before, and I've said this. And
trouble. There's AJ out in the dirt. Ooh, and those are hard on the splitters.
Look at that splitter digging in right there.
He's got a left front flat tire or something broken in the left front because that car's definitely down.
One by one here, they're coming.
What's going on, Matty?
Wally, the issue for the 44, he had flat spotted his tires earlier. He was actually going to hit pit road this time by. Now his day has really taken a turn for the worse.
Go back and see if we can't take a look at this.
Yeah, it must go flat right there because he's going straight across the racetrack. Now, whether it was up,
no, it's down.
It's down, but it goes down right there. You know, when he turned in, there was nothing there to hold him, and he's out there.
Did he make contact with somebody? Yeah. That's the.
You see him go in. He feels like it's up. He turns in, but it's going straight right there. It was down when he got to that corner.
Yeah.
And you see, poor Kevin. Kevin doesn't know which way he's going. So see, Kevin gets passed on the outside by his teammate because he didn't know where the 44 was going.
But those guys did a good job not wrecking behind that.
Yeah, they all did a good job because you pile into that corner pretty hard and you're downshifting in the first gear a lot of times.
Hello, Larry.
Yeah, just looking at some of these guys starting to have flat tires, remember, Goodyear does not run the inner liner here, and you bang wheels so much here, it's very easy just to knock a valve stem off and you end up with a flat tire, I think, just like what A.J. Allmendinger ended up with.
Hey, Larry, how's your calculator?
It's smoking right now, man.
It's going to be interesting to see when the first guys start coming to pit road. You had a good philosophy on Vickers being out front and how their race strategy may or may not play out.
Yeah, I was visiting a little bit with Elton Sawyer down there about the 83, and he said, yeah, he says, I'm not, he says one lap is one thing. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to stay out there, but, like I mentioned to him, I said, you know what, it's so hard to pass here. If you can just stay out front and not make any mistakes and be smooth, it's going to be real difficult for somebody to pass you as long as you can keep out there. So right now, that's what he's doing, and he's running good lap times.
Here's Boris in his office.
Look how big Boris's brake pedal is. Look how big that brake. So when he goes to it, he knows he's going to be there with it.
But watch when he downshifts. He pumps it, making sure the fluid isn't boiled, right, Larry? And he hits it with his, and he'll roll his foot. He hits the brake with his right foot, and then he rolls over on the throttle and then clutches and downshift. That's very busy. I started doing that when I started road racing and got off it and went into left foot braking, and that's what most of the guys do now.
And this is the way they teach you to heel and toe, to put your toe on the brake like that and to roll your foot over a lot of times and to roll it and hit the gas. The Cup guys, none of us ever understood that. We would jam on the brakes with our heel and roll our toe over and use our toe
It'd be really ugly.
Yeah, and it was ugly in there. It looked like your feet were going in opposite directions, like you were duck feet. But Boris is probably the best there is at this right now.
And we want to thank the teams that allowed us to install some of these trick shots, and BSI for the extra effort to bring us those radically different views. And I want to thank you for participating on the conference call, which is something you don't do very often, and with all the ideas of where to put those cameras.
He's talking to you, isn't he?
No, I'm talking to you. Marcus Ambrose to pit road.
4 tires. Fuel.
Okay, Ralph, here we go.
Well, Bill, this was all about getting out of sequence early and trying to gain some track position if and when the brakes fall their way. He said he was getting very held up out on the racetrack. He had caught Dale Earnhardt Jr., couldn't find a way around the 88 car. They're going to bring him in. The car's pretty good. It's just not exactly perfect. They're going to put 4 tires and fuel, some very minor air pressure adjustments to the car, and hopefully give themselves an opportunity to gain some track position and some clear racetrack.
They're going to have to hustle.
But it's a gamble, no matter how you look at it. And if it works, if he gets a caution at the right time, they're going to look like heroes. But it can work against you just as much. And now he got the leaders coming in the hairpin, but I think he's going to go ahead and keep out in front of them.
And we can tell you that A.J. Allmendinger got a pit road speeding penalty, so he had to go and take a pass-through penalty. So we'll watch for speeding penalties on pit road today, as well as we do every week. They're closing in on Brian Vickers here in Sonoma. The leader is climbing one of the many hills here in Sonoma, California, Infineon Raceway for the Toyota Save Mart 350 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Brian Vickers has led every lap. We've completed 15 of 110, but Kyle Busch is right there. How about the leader, Lindsay?
Bill, you can believe that Vickers knows that Kyle is breathing right down his neck. He just came on the radio and told his crew chief, Ryan Pemberton, I'm really tight in 7. I'm flat in the center. Vickers said that they had worked at VIR, but he also told me earlier today that that kind of stuff he thinks does not translate as well as he wants to on this course. He said he always tries to attack the curbs, but always ends up making a mistake. So we'll see if he can get these handling issues under control.
And the closer the 18 gets.
Yeah, watch when he comes into 11 here. He's definitely cooking the right front going into these corners. He did it up in turn 7.
The 83 is.
The 83 is.
But just
watch the right front when he goes in there and brakes. And he's being pushed a little bit harder, too.
Just like Wally said in the opening, right here he's looking in the mirror. He's not looking at the corner. He's looking to see where did the 18 go to the inside, did the 18, and you see he moves to the inside and locks that corner and smokes it.
And he's a sitting duck. Let me tell you right now, Kyle's going to get around him.
I think that's
Kyle's car is faster, and Kyle's just setting him up. And like Kyle says, A3's looking in the mirror quite a bit. So when you get to that point, you're almost better off letting him go this early in the race, because all you're doing is putting yourself in a position where you're going to get run into.
Larry?
Yeah, just going back to Marcos Ambrose and Frank Kerr, the strategy by pitting on lap 12. It's going to be a stretch for them not to have to make now still 2 more stops. But what they're probably banking on, Bill, is the fact that those 2 runs, which they would almost have to run 49 laps per run, they would have to have about 7 to 9 laps of caution in each of those runs to be able to make it on 1 more stop, and I think that's going to be a stretch.
New leader, Kyle Busch.
Yeah, and I just don't think the 83s can get in there, brake, and turn at the same time.
It's your mark now.
Kyle set him up perfectly. That was a nice pass.
And that was a clean racing pass right there. That wasn't, I'm going to force you to make a mistake. And you saw Brian get in there, hang out. He thought about cutting back across the hood of that 18. Thought better of it and just let it float on out there and hop the tire and smoke it a little bit.
You see the Transformers paint scheme on the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen hits theaters this Wednesday, June 24th. More from Mr. Yoakum.
Bill, it's been pretty much quiet on the radio from Kyle Busch to his team. He did say that the only issue he really has, he needs help on the left turns. When I talked to Steve Addington, he says, boy, what a difference a year makes. Last year, they were having to look at pit strategy because they had no risk, nothing really to lose. But now that they're up front, they have sat down, they have a number that they've picked out, and they're going to try to stick to that number as far as their pit strategy. And when they want to hit pit road, right now they're just looking maybe an air pressure change to try to help him on those left-handers.
And boy, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, you can make a change, but you don't want to go too far because there's a lot more right-handers than left-handers. And, you know, you're trying to find that balance, but you got to be careful not to, you know, overdo it.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, we've talked about it before. There's a slow part of this racetrack and there's a fast part of this racetrack. And which part do you give up? And then when you start giving up left-handers versus right-handers, it's a compromise. And I'm telling you, man, his car looks good right now. He may not like the way it looks, but from where I'm sitting, it's looking pretty good from up here in the booth.
On board with Tony, looking at his teammate Ryan Newman. Joe Gibbs Racing has won 6 of the last 9 road course races. Kyle Busch is in the lead, looking for his 3rd straight road course win.